Hi everyone, I'm Neil Snape and I'm happy to present the all-new BenQ SW270C. Now, why C? Because it's for connectivity. With a USB-C cable, you can supply power to your laptop, all of the most recent Apple MacBooks, as well as ASUS, etc. And you only have one cable now to use it that way. Also, the cable allows you to use the two supplied USB 3.1 ports as well as the SD card reader, so you have faster communication with the USB ports that are supplied, and an external card reader if you don't have one on your laptop. What else is new about this monitor that's really nice? Well, I'll start off with the slightly extended color space into what they call display P3, and it's now 97%. What is good about that is for users of MacBooks, actually it's going to transform the panel native color space, and yet Apple chose to use a different color space for the devices, including their iPhones, tablets, and all the modern Retina displays. And it's a space that has to be moved out a little bit. So what they've included is a new space that's called MBook. You plug in your USB-C cable and it gives you the same colors that are on your MacBook on this screen. So it moves the colors around and changes the contrast so it looks almost identical, and that's really amazing. That means you can plug in your 270C into any Mac and it will appear to be the same as what's on the screen on an uncalibrated Retina standard device. What else is good about this monitor that's changed slightly over the last ones is they have a new, of course, remote puck that has a rotary dial. So this way you can adjust your volume if you choose to set it to that, or brightness or whatever it might be, because with all BenQ hotkey pucks, which is a remote, they're fully customizable. So this one has an extra button or two, and you can actually use that to your advantage. All BenQ monitors are IPS dials, which means that you can use them at different viewing angles and the colors don't change. They all have matte screens. They all have 10-bit per channel data flow, so that means you have slightly more correction for data. Just check with your specs to see that it will provide OpenGL for Adobe products, because Photoshop runs on OpenGL. How do you do calibration on these screens? It's really easy. It comes with proprietary software called Palette Master Elements, and it's a simplified but at the same time very accurate way of measuring the colors that are displayed on the screen, and it will save out the calibration and a profile for whatever settings you used at that time. In this monitor, you have 3 calibration slots. What I usually do is set one for the calibration for viewing on web, and then I make another one, a second one for a print condition that your prints are closer in luminosity to the screen. So I reduce the luminosity, change the color temperature, and do another calibration. You can do a third one, for example, for video, and save that out into the third slot. Now, why is that a great advantage over other software on the computer type of ICC profiles? It's because with this way, all of the color controls are actually, and transformations are done in the monitor itself, and the video card on the computer, the host computer, it's sending out a pure signal without any transformations. That allows you to change at any time into these different color configurations without touching anything on the computer. So that's a great advantage of BenQ software. On top of that, this is the first monitor in the BenQ line that has 16-bit per channel lookup tables. So when you do the calibration, and it's actually transforming the, sending out the corrections for lookup tables that are 16-bit. So the color information is a little bit more pure. So let's give you an example. Blue skies, beautiful blue skies with long tones. They will have a little bit more finesse with this monitor compared to the other ones. That's a real advantage. What else have they changed on this monitor compared to the other 27-inch that it's replacing? This is an HD monitor, by the way, which means it covers 2,560 pixels on the wide edge. And what they changed is the stand now is sturdier. It's similar to the SW320, a little bit stronger so that there's less movement in the monitor itself. It still comes with this fantastic handle, so you can walk around with a monitor and move that. The hoods, they're all supplied with BenQ monitors, except for maybe the 240. And it's a fantastic hood. It has black velvet on the inside. I always use these hoods because I find it stops the spurious reflections around the room. I like to work in bright rooms. If I was to take off the hood, you would see that the 270C is actually a very modern looking monitor with an ultra fine bezel. So the sides and the top is very fine. Looks better that way, yet I always leave the monitor hood on. The screen can be turned to portrait position. If you use it often in a portrait position and still want to use the hood, there's an option that you can buy 2 extra panels from BenQ. What is a fantastic advantage, other than the USB-C Thunderbolt connection that they have, is that the new screens on the 270C actually are factory calibrated, not only for color, but also for uniformity. So they measure different zones all around the monitor, and they actually hardware embed that information so that it has color correction and density correction around the screen. So the new 270C has much finer uniformity. That way, if you have more than one plugged in, let's say in a video editing environment where you have 5 or 10 screens, these monitors will be a lot more similar side by side than any previous monitors. That's a great thing. Let's move on to the topic of color spaces. Panels are designed to target the primaries of Adobe RGB. That's a very large color space, and for most photography purposes, it covers all the colors that you will see in the image that you're bringing in. The only way you can see your image is actually to have a good calibrated monitor, so this is the right solution for photographers and videographers. Since you're bringing in the information towards a 10-bit workflow, the color lookup tables are actually 16-bit with this monitor. So you have a really fine graduation of tone. The advantage of having such a large color space at a higher bit depth is that you have possibilities of having very subtle color differences without errors or banding and contouring with these monitors. The other advantage of having controllable color spaces is that at any time you can change with the puck into a different color space. That's an advantage if you want to see what your image will look like in a different color space, even though you're not changing anything on the in the computer on the images itself. One of the things I really like with BenQ monitors is the possibility to change to, when you're doing editing, is to change to black and white. So now that I'm in black and white mode, I can actually select my images and see how they look disassociated to all color representations. So this is a mode that I use often. Now if I switch back to press button number 1, I haven't actually set that to be MBook. You'll see that the colors now are a little bit different between both monitors. That's because this is now set to Adobe RGB, and before it was set to represent the colors on a MacBook. The color spaces are very important of your choices when you're making them, and having that flexibility of moving them into different spaces is really a great joy. So if I want to go back to MBook, so I'll go down here, one button, click again, and I will just go all the way down until I find MBook, which I could actually, let's just play P3, MBook. I'll click on there, and now my colors are the same on both the MacBook and the screen. Just briefly about one other characteristic that they have with these monitors. It's called HDR10. Now, what that is just a possibility if you plug in a device like a Blu-ray disc player or an Android machine. These screens will actually move the color space around so that it extends it into the highest possible brightness as well as contrast to make it look more similar to a true HDR monitor. an HDR editing monitor at 1,000 nits or 1,000 candela per meter square with a black point of 0.05, they're around 25 to 30,000 euro. So these monitors are not designed to compete into a reference monitor for that. But they do offer the possibility to view videos or any other devices, series that you might be watching on TV, and it'll give you a better representation on screen than if it was not HDR10. The new monitors are Pantone certified as well, and you'd say, why would I want that? If you're working in graphic design and you want your colors to be accurately represented and you want the assurance for your clients that the colors will look right in the Pantone colors on screen, then they've gone to the effort to making them Pantone certified so it can accurately, within a certain range, show you all the Pantone colors, as well as Calibration, which is a video representation. So these screens they just have that extra assurance. And considering the price, this is a great thing to know that your monitors are able to produce all the colors accurately. You can't get that from inexpensive monitors because there's too much variance. These SW line monitors are built for professionals and having the highest assurance of delivery of content. The SW270C also has picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture. So if you want to see what a picture looks like in a different color space, picture-by-picture will divide the screen, the same image, and show you different color spaces compatibility. Picture-in-picture is putting a small picture, and you can change the size of that picture around the screen in a different color space than the original. It's a nice feature to have. Some people will use it. Most photographers probably won't, and they will actually just choose to change the color space with the hotkey puck. To wrap it up, this is the best value in a 27-inch HD monitor, IPS, 10-bit panel with 16-bit correction. The great advantage of USB-C, of course, is the best selling point of this monitor, as well as it's supplied with the most fantastic hood that is available, and for a price point, it's just unbeatable. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but I think for photographers, videographers, and graphic artists, this is one of the best choices you could ever find. Thanks for watching. See you again.